We're back.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
What's up, Blake? Freaking Ruffino on a hump day, giving the people the cold, hard freaking truth. You can't be doing this. And I think the problem, Mr. Ruffino,
Yes.
is that they're not used to your face being skinny.
You think that that's it?
Yeah, they're used to seeing some rooster flappage while you spit out your hot takes. You're getting too fit for the people. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like the harsh truth.
Well, see, they're mad at me. They're mad at me because I wore an Ohio State shirt to the gym. They're pretty pissed off at me. I don't know if you saw this.
That was when you were big, though, right?
No, the Ohio State shirt I wore when I was skinny. But see,
what was that? Wait, what's that about?
Well, maybe in my own way, I was sending signals to the fan base that Blaine Bradford was committing.
I can say that you were on top of that. I can. We had a discussion about that.
We did have a discussion, but see, you know what? Blake don't know shit. You know, I mean, like Blake's just crazy. To the first point, we'll get to Blaine Bradford in just a moment.
Yeah.
Carter, I was asked by Jackie Harris on Monday. I wanted some time to think about this. Blake, where do you think they need to go in the portal? And I would just ask you, Carter. I mean, like, listen, I feel like I have to have this discussion every year. There are multiple people in here again saying you're being too negative. I feel like I'm keeping it real with you. But see, here's the problem. Carter, for me, I said the same shit a year ago, right? Like I said the same shit a year ago about Garrett's turning the ball over too much. You can't run the football. The defensive line in the interior, I don't think is good enough. Safety, I did not think was good enough. And instead of like, well, Blake, you're just too negative. The problem that I find myself in again is that me saying the same exact kind of stuff that I did last offseason, and then I come out here and it's like, Blake, you're too negative. Well, I told you it was a problem a year ago, and you call me you call me crazy. So fat Blake, skinny Blake, don't really matter what Blake it is. I mean, I feel like I'm telling you the truth. Carter, they have not moved Sadir Mitchell all spring. He's been immovable. And by the way, he is not the best interior defensive lineman in the SEC. That currently goes to Caleb Banks out of Florida. I will put all of my money on that, okay, at the current moment. So my whole thing is, Carter, he's not the best in your – like, he might be the best on your team. He's not the best in the conference. Like, we got to think about that. By the way, you face a premier interior defensive tackle in Peter Woods week 1. So, like, I'm thinking about all those things. But when we talk about the portal and the spring about to open up, I mean, what do you believe? What do you think that they should do?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Clemson's really good as far as that is concerned, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that before that rolls around. I'm with you on Sadir Mitchell. I believe in transfers, Blake, that had a lot of traffic ahead of them when it comes to their playing time at the school that they once were at. And Texas had probably the best defensive tackle rotation in the SEC this past season, and Alfred Collins would get drafted pretty high, and that's why Mitchell couldn't play. And he went up against those guys in practice. A really good Texas offensive line. They probably had the best offensive line in the SEC last year. Underrated center as well, but Mitchell comes in and I'm with you. I've heard great things. I'm a believer. I'm also just a believer in just mass. He's a big dude. He's the biggest guy in that room. So I'm with you on that. But Blake, I think one thing people lose sight of is with LSU last season, it was a solid season for the Tigers, but a lot of your big wins were fortunate wins, right? That South Carolina game was a post-game win probability heavily in favor of South Carolina. The Ole Miss game, a post-game analytical win probability heavily in favor of Ole Miss. So earlier today, some of my PHL viewers know this because I streamed a little bit earlier today. Like I met with a big analytical company that consults with teams, and I did a 1-hour call with them. And I've been able to look at a lot of their data that they provide a lot of teams throughout college football. And, they give a lot of these numbers out. And the funny thing is there were some numbers. Look, the defense did take a step forward in the right direction, but there were some numbers where we were still 2023 LSU defense-esque. And that's a problem.
Interior defensive line, interior offensive line.
Yeah, and that was
wrong. Was that the big standout? What was the big standout number wise?
Yeah, the big thing to me, and it's a kind of complicated stat. It's kind of hard to chart as well. Is rush yards before contact, meaning how many yards does a running back run before he actually gets touched? And we were actually worse in that department than what we were in 2023. So what does that mean? Well, it means two things. Number one, a guy like Sadir Mitchell will help you out a lot because it's just harder to move that human being. But if you go look at the runs, all right, once again, this isn't just analytics. You can go look for the film. It's not hard. You don't need to know what a 4-eye technique is or any shit like that. Just go back and watch the explosive runs that LSU gave up last season. How many of them were untouched? A lot. A whole hell of a lot.
South Carolina, both of them were.
Yes. And it's not just the touch. I mean, they gave up a lot of wide open gash lane runs in that game. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss had a big one in the middle.
Yeah, from Ulysses S. Bentley IV, the law firm, the 50-yarder. Right.
Yeah, the former president. And then Alabama, the runs are basically the same. Milroe was untouched on this. So the thing is, and I won't go too deep into it, there were some improvements that they made. The numbers that I looked at showed that LSU did become a better tackling team, outside of Sage Ryan, of course. But they did get better at actually bringing ball carriers down. 2023 was bad at rush yards before contact and bad at actually tackling. But 2024, there were still those issues. Now, here's a good thing, is a guy like Jack Pyburn is going to help you out because
I agree.
He's a better run stuffing in than anything that you had last year.
And they might be borderline elite there, Carter. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
I've said that multiple times. I think they're borderline elite there.
Yeah, and the other side of it as well, Blake, is if you do start stopping the run, let's just say you are a better overall run.
You're a playoff team.
You are a playoff team, but what can happen is the other team will throw on you, and you got to have a secondary that can hold up against it. I do think the LSU secondary will be better.
I do too.
I do think some of the bright spots of the LSU secondary last year weren't as good as some people would like to think. So what I mean by that is a guy, let's just say Zy Alexander, who's very experienced and had some really good games, also had some really, really, really bad games. I understand it's a mystery box, but I think it is in the realm of possibility that DJ Pickett is better than that guy in year one. I think
I'm with you there.
Yeah. And I don't like to put too much on. He's
definitely just overall more talented. Experience-wise, he's not going to have it. But, they posted this. Did you see the DJ Pickett, Barry and Brown rep?
Yeah.
I mean, we were there. We were there for the full practice. I told you on the call back to my house, we just talked about practice. I was like, dude, he got roasted on a post route, and how he gained yardage back, I don't know. Look, for what it's worth, I'm telling you I know what I'm seeing here on this. LSU at edge, massive upgrade. And I say that because Braden Swinson was really good a year ago. Like, he was very good a year ago. But Savion Jones was not necessarily great. I mean, Gabe Rutherford's emergence, Patrick Payton, I mean, dude, he tracked down from the backside Caden Durham. So everybody from Florida State told me, like, hey, dude, this guy's effort sucks. And I'm like, this dude's tracking running backs down in a spring practice. And by the way, Jack Pyburn, you better buckle up. You better buckle up. I think they can be better in the running game. The problem is, I saw Weston Davis take on Don McKinley 2 straight days, a Wednesday and Saturday, in one-on-one run blocking drills. dominated Don McKinley. Dominated. Twice. I saw Ahmad Bro get his helmet ripped off, and everybody's like, oh, he won the rep. No, the guard stopped. Like, you literally see Paul Mabenga stopping during the rep. That's not a good rep by Ahmad Bro. It just isn't. Now, Sadir Mitchell, again, has not been moved. But, Carter, in every SEC loss, every one of them, like, people make me feel like I'm crazy. I know that I'm not. Under BK, they're allowing 257 rushing yards per loss. Translation, you're getting your ass whooped. But I do think at edge, you have definitely developed that, and I think they're going after DT in the portal. But to your point, you bring up an interesting point, brother. All right, now this DB room, well, let me not say DB room. Let's not talk about DB room because safety has still been very bad. Besides Deshaun Spears, the corner room, shit. Mansour Delane might be the best cover corner that you've had in quite a minute. He reminds me of the smart player like Jared Bernard Converse. Like, even if he gets beat, he knows what you're doing, so he's going to recorrect himself.
Yeah, here's one weird thing about Delane. So, he said in an interview that part of why he wanted to come to LSU is because of the practices. And, you're going up against like SEC competition, and he knows the wide receiver room is going to be really good. The funny thing about that, though, Blake, and you cover all of college football, I started my NFL draft prep. I really pick it up in April. Obviously, it's a month of the draft. I don't think people realize how many elite offensive players were in the ACC last year. Like, it is unreal how many of those guys are going to get drafted really, really, really high. So, like Mansour Delane, Virginia Tech has 2 wide receivers that are going to get drafted. We don't have 2 wide receivers that are going to get drafted next year. So Jacoby Lane was a beast.
You don't think Kyron Lacey's a first rounder?
I wish he was, but he's not. And number 9, who had the Hail Mary catch versus, what's his name? He's a beast run blocker. I forget his name. So he went up against 2 NFL wide receivers every day in practice. And then in the ACC, that was as loaded of a conference offensively as anybody in all of college football last season. That's who Delane went up against every week. The offensive talent was ridiculous. The wide receivers were absolutely ridiculous. And he went up against those guys for a couple of seasons. So not all those guys were just 1-year transfer portal rentals. You had to go up against Xavier Restrepo and Cam Ward and tackle Damian Martinez and Elijah Arroyo, who's going to get drafted. That was all on one team. Mm-hmm. Syracuse was arguably as loaded as they were.
Oh, dude, that Pena kid from Syracuse is a dog. Right. Syracuse was actually silently loaded at receiver and tight end.
Yeah, Gatson and all those guys.
Yeah.
So
Fran Brown, what up?
Yeah, I mean, dude, the ACC, and I understand that,
defensively, they were just so shit, though.
Right. But for Delane, he went up against these guys and held his own and won quite a few of these matchups. Even Virginia has always had good receivers. But, and that gives me more hope that Mansour Delane will make a clean transition to the SEC and really help out the secondary.
Let me transition here. We brought up me wearing a shirt and the post that I had and had Ohio State. Again, messages being sent. Nobody wants to, nobody catches it. It is what it is. Caught a big blow on Monday for LSU. Now, I understand that people are like, oh, it's not over with, and you can still bring Blaine Bradford back, which you can. And look, I fully expect LSU to make their moves. I fully expect to do whatever they got to do. But it's going to cost you more now. It just is. I mean, listen, man, the kid came out in an article and said that he had a better relationship with Ryan Day than anybody on LSU staff. The kid literally is 7 miles away from your campus. That in and of itself cannot happen. It cannot happen. I mean, it's the bottom line. Blaine Bradford committing to Ohio State. What do you think?
Yeah, I as good as the Keys announcement was, this really hurts. I mean, it does. And look, safety play is the talk of the show. It's going to kind of be the same as it was for defensive tackle last year. But I keep going back to the college football playoff. All those teams had really good safety plays, safety play, and some of those teams that were in the playoff had safeties go down, like Texas, and they still had elite safety play guys that'll get.
Tacoma was the best safety in the SEC. I don't care what anybody tells me.
It's such an important position, because of how offenses work now. So many quarterbacks, the first thing you do is read the overhang. So that's oftentimes not a safety. Sometimes it is. But you got to have guys that can just do it all. And LSU's had the opposite of that. At the bare minimum, you got to have guys that can do the basic things, and LSU's really struggled with that. Right. So Bradford is a 5-star safety, and those guys normally translate pretty well to the next level. So, yeah, it hurts. Obviously, I don't ever get too excited or angry about any high school commitment, but I'm disappointed, to say the least.
Well, you better be. I mean, you got to be. Like, it is an excuse. So here was my, like, LSU fans. There have been many of them. Like, one of them I got in a dispute with on Facebook. He's like, "You're going to eat your words," because I posted a video of like, "Hey, man, that just cannot happen." And the dude was like, "You're going to eat your words, Blake. You're going to eat your words. He's going to flip." I'm like, "What words did I say?" I said that he can't commit to an out-of-state school. No, he can't. I mean, like, brother, this isn't Jamar Chase committing to Kansas. This isn't Jamar Chase committing to Florida. This is a kid committing to Ohio State, which, by the way, their director of player personnel, guess where he's from? Guess where he's from?
I don't know.
Louisiana.
Okay.
You remember he was at Alabama before he went to Ohio State. Remember Devonta Smith?
Yeah, Amy, the barbershop.
We got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Yeah, that dude still went on to win a Heisman. Is a really good NFL wide receiver. Like, are we going to act like he's not? Like, the dude has gotten dudes, like, literally over the year. Christian Harris, would you have not taken Christian Harris over Jacob Phillips in some of those situations?
Yeah,
and damn well you would have.
Yeah, one thing I'll add to that, Blake, is historically, in the early 2010s, some of the elite guys that got out of Louisiana, they ended up not hurting LSU, but more recently, the top 100-ish guys that do lead the state, they've been a little bit bigger of a loss, if you will.
No doubt.
Yeah, Jacoby Matthews, obviously, Derek Williams, those guys saw.
Bro, Derek Williams beat out the best safety in the country.
Yeah.
And got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, I mean, that's the thing, man. Here's the thing that really hurts. If this would let me just say it like this: if this would have been a receiver, I would have been like, "This sucks." Yeah. You got a shitload of these kids that you bring in every year. I mean, like, somebody's gonna pop off. Safety, you can't. Like, it's Carter. 2 weeks ago, I did a whole segment on this. You better not lose Aiden Hall from Carr, which they haven't lost him. But you sure as shit better not lose Blaine Bradford.
Yeah.
They're
different players too. Like Hall is
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and because Carvis, who I respect, Carvis and I become really good friends. Hall, more so plays like the slot, and they move him all around. Bradford, if you watch him, he's a safety. That's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The only reason I say you can't lose both of them is because they'll be better at safety, strong safety, than anything that you probably have right now not named Deshaun Spears. Yeah, that is a truth. Like, here's the truth. If Blaine Bradford were to skip his senior year and go to college, there's a strong chance that he'd be starting for you this season. That's how bad you've been there.
Yeah.
Joe, bro, Javian Toviano is not your answer right now. He's not the answer. I'm telling you, he's not. I mean, he's getting beat to the edge And he knows that a running play is coming in spring football.
Yeah, and one thing is and this is my big concern. If I was in the building, this is what I would say is last year you made this mistake thinking that a guy that has not given you good tape for multiple seasons at the program would magically turn into an SEC reliable starter. You did that with two different guys. You did it with Major Burns, you did it with Sage Ryan, and it cost you. It just did. Now, if one of those guys would have worked out, you're probably a one-win better team at the very least. But both of them were disasters. They were downright utter disasters. And it's difficult to have those conversations, but that's where you are. And Blake, I had a very good grade on JV and Toviano coming in. It's just not been the answer. It's just not been. And some of it is because they've moved him around, and true freshman, he had to play corner and then move him at nickel. And now you're trying to make him, full-time safety. Some of that has been the issue. Obviously, you don't have Ron Cooper back there coaching him or Nick Saban or someone like that.
No,
but
you got Jake Olson.
Yeah, and he's a young coach. It's still very early in his career. So it's –
well, and I don't even blame Jake Olson about what happened at safety with Major Burns.
It's not
that's not his fault. I mean, name a recruit that he's brought in. That would be the question that I ask. I mean, the safeties that you got this year did not get recruited by him. Like Chase Thomas, who committed on this show, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, if we need to have a conversation about who his lead recruiter was, I mean, he's a running backs coach.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we talking about? So again, look, call me negative all you want to. You can't miss a kid. Ryan Day has a better relationship with a kid 7 miles away from you. That is atrocious. The kid literally said, I have a better relationship with Ryan Day than anyone on LSU staff. Like, Carter, let me ask you this question. We wouldn't allow Ed to get away with that shit. We wouldn't allow any other coach ever to get away with that shit. Never. Just because it's the NIL. And by the way, they didn't beat you on an NIL basis. They beat you on a relationship basis, which pisses me off even more. That's the part that pisses me off more is I know for a fact they beat you on a relationship basis. The head coach did. Now, I'm not blaming Brian Kelly on that. I mean, sometimes you feel like an in-state kid that there's so many people that are recruiting him that, like, how could you have missed the ball? But, Carter, that cannot happen, brother. I mean, like, regardless if you flip him in November, which here's just the truth. I'm going to be optimistic. I still think they flip him. I really still think that, like, a kid like that, you'll do whatever you got to do because of how bad the position has been. It's going to cost you now. And Ohio State's got you in a position where look, there's a chance because of TV revenue and NIL, you might now have to overpay for a high school kid because you messed up in the beginning. So here's another truth. You're literally now having to overpay because of your mess up in the beginning of it.
Yeah. Well, my future boss, Brian Kelly, he is going to fix this.
Your future boss?
I look, here's
what do you mean by that?
I applied for an LSU. I applied for the LSU analyst job that opened. I went for it, and you got to. You should apply too.
Oh man, I didn't know that. Congratulations!
Yeah,
I'm not applying for it.
You're not? Okay. Well, there you go. I put my hat in the ring because look, this is what I do every day. I look at this stuff every day. You do the same thing. And look, here's my thing. Can Curriell or Dickinson play safety?
Oh.
I mean, maybe they could. But how tall is Curry? How tall is Curriell? Is he like 6'3"?
Yeah, but brother, he's like 165, 170. No.
So who would we need? Stanfield? Well, he's probably more of a
Stanfield's more of a corner. Let me think.
Is there anybody that's a safety body?
Not
they're kind of a slender team. They don't have that Leon Landry They don't have that.
No, they don't have the Chad Jones.
Chad. Well, yeah. Well,
Chad Jones Jr. That's who needs to play.
yeah.
There is a kid on the team named David Hogg that I think is a good enough athlete that he could do it. No, there's nobody, not at safety. I mean, I think Bear Jones could play defensive line for you though.
How much does he weigh?
Probably 245, 240, yeah. 245. I don't give a shit. Bro, he will he's like Pyburn. But by the way, look, I told a source this week, okay, that's out there at every LSU practice. Dude, Jack Pyburn is the most impressive human being that I've seen on this team in quite some time. Now, listen to this.
Whoa.
Yes, defensively.
Whoa, no, come on, dude. That's too hot of a take.
No,
I love Jack Pyburn. You freaking do. But
defensively, there's been
time in quite some time.
You know why? Because there's absolutely nobody on your team defensively, even in 2022, when the going got tough, that will punch you in your shit. Nobody. Name one.
Well, Swinson was great. And Braden Swinson on.
No, not like this. Swinson, no, not like this. This is different.
So you're saying right now that you believe Jack Pyburn's gonna have a better year than Braden Swinson?
No, no, not.
But you're saying just from a mentality standpoint.
From a I think his mentality standpoint brings more of an edge for you than any sack that Braden Swinson had a year ago.
Oh, I'm a Swinson guy.
Fantastic player. Carter, you take a rep off at edge and see what happens. You go ahead. I've seen it with my own eyeballs now. Dude will he'll take his helmet off and he'll throw hands. He don't give a flying fuck. He does not care. All right. Name a dude that's brought that mentality. Here's the thing. What are the positions that we complain about? Interior offensive line, defensive tackle, and safety. And maybe running back to some extent. What do all of them have in common? Physicality. You got to be physical. Go ahead and mess up and you're going to watch what happens. This kid, from a leadership standpoint, will change your team more than anything else. I promise you.
I'm with you. I'm a big.
You know what? I got Patrick Payton on the other side. I don't need him to do that. What I need him to do is look at Don McKinley in the face and say, "Hey, brother, that don't fly here." Bro, you should hear this dude chirp at practice. Bro, he got a tackle for loss a week ago, and he popped up and literally, he absolutely fantastic play. And he goes, "What y'all think this shit? What y'all running at me for?" He's yelling at the coaching staff saying, "What the fuck you running at me for? Y'all want to get some reps in, you better go the opposite way." He's all in their shit. This kid don't give a damn. All right, y'all going to go ahead and mess around if you want to. That dude's going to bust your ass up. You watch.
I like
that with my own eyeballs.
I do like he's wearing number 44, baby.
Oh, he going to bust somebody up. He going to punch somebody in the mouth. Listen, if the aliens come down and I know somebody I need on the front lines to go and fight them, Jack Pyburn would be one of the first calls I make. You think I'm not joking?
I know you're not. Here's the thing that excites me about Jack is he's never had a chance to play a full-time defensive end role.
No, yeah.
So he was mostly healthy last year, and he played 200 fewer snaps than Savion Jones did.
Thick neck.
So, yeah.
Pause.
I was the one that retweeted your tweet about him saying he got a thick neck, dude. That's what you need. Thickness is what wins in the SEC. The best SEC football players of all time were thick guys. Almost all of them. Alabama's had a lot of good running backs. Who were the ones that won the Heisman?
Say that again now. I thought we had – say that again.
Alabama's had a lot of good running backs. Who were the ones that won the Heisman?
Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry.
Thick dudes. Got to have thickness.
Yeah, and look, I even think in the portal you need a Noah Cain.
Oh, Noah. Or how about this? Okay, do you want to know something that's interesting?
You need a run in between the tackles and you need a physical back?
Okay, so one guy that is surging behind the scenes on draft boards, and he's way under the radar.
Josh Williams.
Okay, so Josh Williams has gotten some love after that 40 in the vertical. Explosive athlete. But one guy that has made some headway, who is also a thick running back, Corey Kiner.
Yeah, out of Cincinnati, former LSU guy.
And had some production as a true freshman.
He runs so stiff, though, man. God, he's so stiff.
And he doesn't have any breakaway burst, but thick, man. He would end up being a good back.
Let me throw this your way. Do you think that they need a running back?
Yes. Yeah,
I do too.
100,000%.
Let me ask. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that too much is on Frank Wilson's plate?
Yeah, if it means so him being the recruiting director, he's doing a lot of the heavy.
I feel like he's doing everything. Like
yeah. I mean,
look, go ahead.
Okay, so full disclosure, I've never met Frank before. I've met his family, got to know his family a few years. I sat next to him at the SEC championship game, and they talked to me about how much recruiting he actually does.
Dude, right? It's insane. He recruits more positions than anybody.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing is like a lot of his legacy is recruiting guys that didn't even play running back. Most famously Tyrann Mathieu, but still he does a lot of that. And then you factor in, evaluating.
He locked down your top two recruits, and Rich Anderson and Aiden Hall.
Right, and neither of them play running
or
back.
at his position.
Right.
I mean, if you want to be blunt. If we want to be blunt, I mean, Harold Perkins does not come here without Frank. Like, it does not happen.
Yeah. And one final thing, Blake, is I do think they're banking on right or look, I've not really heard this one way or the other. You might have, but it's just simple logic that there is a lot of pressure on Caleb Jackson to come back.
Oh, man, he's got to have a big year. Golly.
And if he doesn't, you're in a tough spot. And there's a lot of question marks on that room. Okay. Obviously, Caden Durham has elite potential to take even another step. And he has great work ethic and was in the middle of a nasty transfer portal rumor that wasn't even close to being true. And you have Harlan Berry who comes in. Blake, you know how I am about my running backs, man. It was the same thing. I got to have at least one reliable, thick guy. And I don't need Caleb Jackson to be Leonard Fournette. I need Caleb Jackson to be Kenny Hilliard. I need Caleb Jackson to at least be Michael Ford.
You can get away with Terrence McGee.
Right. I just need you to
put your head down, go get 4 yards, and physically wear them out.
Right. And just a little bit better vision. Okay.
He's got to have better vision. He's he ain't got no instincts on him.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the weirdest thing happened to me during this NFL draft cycle when I started watching a lot more of these games, and some of it is just bad defense. But man, there was one running back I fell in love with.
Who's that?
Damian Martinez.
Brother, put his head down though and run you flat over.
So for those that don't know, he was a running back at Miami. He's in the NFL draft. He is like teach tape for what I would put on for a college running back, both at Oregon State and Miami. That dude knows how to run. Like, he really understands the nuances of running the ball. And I think if Caleb Jackson just sat down and watched some of the things that he did, it would translate. And he's way faster than Damian Martinez, who's not, as you know, like a burner per se.
Dude, you know who Caleb Jackson can be?
Who's that?
Ali Broussard. They have the same build.
The alley cat.
The alley cat. I want you got a 20 number, do it. All right. Before we get out of here, anything, last statement from you, anything on women's basketball or men's basketball?
Ooh. Yeah, as you know, Blake, women's basketball. Obviously, LSU football is always going to be my favorite. That's kind of just ingrained in me. But women's basketball gets me the most riled up, man. It gets me, dude, I freaking love it so much.
They just got out-bodied. They just got out physical from big girls. And look, I hear that, Kim about to bring it. She's about to land a big from what I hear.
Yeah,
she land a big.
So the UCLA game had one girl come off the bench, number 30. I don't remember her name. Tamia, whatever.
Williams, right?
Or it was something like that. She could not miss. It was the Jasmine Carson effect.
Yeah.
If that there's no way you can scout for that. And unless you have someone that can match that, LSU's not a three-point shooting team. You're always just going to be behind. And then you had some bad injury luck. I will say, Morrow getting freaking blasted right in the middle of her skull and playing through it is some of the toughest shit I've ever seen.
I agree.
Dude, those are the worst head hits when you have no idea that it's about to happen and it was your own person. Man, that I just God, she's my favorite women's basketball player ever, including Simone Augustus. I don't think anybody would. I'm not saying she's the best, but she's my personal favorite. She's 6 foot and was the best rebounder in the country this year at 6 foot. It's 6 foot. That's freaking.
And look, they lost that game in the second quarter against UCLA when the big was out, and you can't score. I mean, you should have capitalized, and they couldn't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think here's a hot take: Kim's team next year will be more talented than this one.
Oh, I agree. I
think with some of the things they're about to get in the portal, they'll be good. All right. Hadn't seen you since like 3 Mondays ago, but you're finally back. Sorry, baseball's been kicking our ass. But you're always fantastic, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
See you, bud.
All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Always fantastic. My favorite day of the week is when he joins us. All right, we're out of here with him. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Post game. Y'all have a good night. Peace.